Ever checked the time on your phone and then, just a second later, completely forgotten what it was? It's a funny modern habit, right? We have precise, atomic clock accuracy in our pockets, on our wrists, and on every screen. But what if all of that just disappeared? Let's rewind the clock pun intended to the Middle Ages. How on earth did anyone know what time it was? Forget smartphones. They didn't even have clocks as we know them. How did they organize their days, meet for appointments, or even know when to cook dinner? The answer is a fascinating mix of nature, community, and early ingenuity. First and foremost, people in the medieval period looked up. The sun was the original, giant, celestial clock. For a more precise reading, you'd look for a sundial. These were everywhere in town squares, on the walls of churches, and in the gardens of monasteries. A simple shadow cast by a central gnomon would sweep across marked lines, telling the time with reasonable accuracy. But sundials had a very obvious flaw. What happens on a cloudy day? Or at night? Well, on overcast days, you were out of luck. People got very good at just estimating. By simply looking at the sun's position in the sky, how high it was, where it was on its arc, they could make a pretty good guess. They thought in broader terms like sunrise, midday, afternoon, and sunset, rather than in precise hours and minutes. But the real heartbeat of the medieval day wasn't the sun. It was the sound of bells. The Christian church was the center of life, and its schedule dictated everyone else's. Monks followed a strict routine of prayer, called the canonical hours, starting before dawn with matins and ending after sunset with compline. To call the monks and the surrounding community to prayer, they rang massive church bells. These bells could be heard for miles. So, if you were a farmer in a nearby field, you didn't need a watch. The bell for sext, the midday prayer, told you it was time for lunch. The bell for vespers in the early evening meant it was time to start heading home from the fields. The entire rhythm of work, meals, and rest for a whole village was set by the peal of those church bells. It was a shared, communal sense of time. For more specific or indoor timekeeping, especially in monasteries or the homes of the wealthy and learned, other clever devices were used. Water clocks, or clepsydras, had been around since ancient times. They worked by letting water drip at a constant rate from one vessel to another, with markings on the inside to show how much time had passed. They were useful at night or indoors, but were fiddly and could be affected by temperature changes. Then there was the hourglass. Sand trickling through a narrow waist was a simple and reliable way to measure a set duration, perfect for timing a sermon, a lecture, or even a guard shift. The real game changer, however, appeared towards the end of the Middle Ages, the mechanical clock. These weren't your neat little mantelpiece clocks. They were colossal, iron behemoths, often weighing hundreds of pounds, housed in the clock towers of cathedrals and town halls. They didn't even have faces or hands at first. Their main job was to automatically strike a bell on the hour. These mechanical clocks represented a monumental shift. For the first time, time wasn't just an observation of nature or a religious signal. It was becoming a measured, standardized, and man-made concept. It paved the way for coordinated trade, regulated labor hours, and the bustling, scheduled city life we recognize today. So, from the simple shadow on a sundial to the deafening clang of the first public clocks, the way people told time in the Middle Ages was a journey. It was a transition from living by the natural cycles of the sun and seasons to a world where time could be chopped up into equal, mechanical pieces. The next time you glance at your phone for the time, just take a second to appreciate how much our perception of time itself has changed over the centuries. It's a story of human ingenuity that truly stood the test of time. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this glimpse into the past, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.